The Jungle Book is a CG animated adventure film directed by Jon Favreau. It stars Neil Sethi, the voice talents of Bill Murray, Ben Kingsley, Christopher Walken, Lupita Nyong'o, Scarlett Johansson, a ton of other amazing people. The story is a Disney classic. It's about a young boy named Mowgli who is abandoned by his father at a very young age and is raised by wolves in the jungle. A particularly nasty tiger named Shere Khan decides that Mowgli shouldn't be living amongst the animals and, well, wants to make him his dinner. To protect his family and save them from danger, Mowgli decides to leave his family of wolves and go back to where he came from, aided by Bagheera, a black panther who's been watching over Mowgli and training him in the ways of the animals to survive. Along the way, Mowgli and Bagheera befriend a bear named Baloo who helps them on their adventure, and it's up to Mowgli to decide what's best for him, whether it be to go back to his people or to stay with the animals, and also to find it within himself to stand up to the bully. As soon as the trailers came out for this movie, I really thought this was going to be a winner. It looked visually amazing. It turns out Jungle Book is an absolute masterpiece. This is really essential viewing. For starters, the visuals from start to finish, there were so many frames in the movie that just absolutely made me go, wow. The whole movie is actually one big special effect. The only real thing was Neil Sethi as Mowgli. Everything else, including the environments, the animals, everything was CG animated, and they did such a fantastic job. And to go with the outstanding visuals, the script was really, really good. The pacing was tight. It was really heartfelt and emotional. It was just classic storytelling. And it's a credit to Rudyard Kipling's original novel. He really captured the hero's journey so well. Boy sets out on a quest, is aided by a mentor, and has to learn how to defeat the villain. And speaking of the villain, Shere Khan was fantastic. He was really threatening and menacing, but also had a really cool backstory, and in a way it was sort of sympathetic. You kind of knew where he was coming from and, why he was being a bad guy. Speaking of Neil Sethi, he was awesome as the kid. He was really likable. He did a great job. Sometimes kid actors can go either way. Nah, he was really, really cool. He just embodied the character so perfectly well. Also, the musical score in the film was great. It sort of had a bit of a John Williams vibe in a couple of spots. There was actually one scene that kind of reminded me a little bit of Vader pursuing Luke underneath the Emperor's throne room in Return of the Jedi, and the music in that actually, it kind of hinted a little bit towards that. It was a great, great score. Back to the CG, the animals in this, now this was one thing that it really depended on, was getting the animals right. And look, they weren't 100% photorealistic, but they were like 99%, and I guess it was the fact that the animals were talking, it kind of made you sort of think, yeah, that's a little weird, but they were as good as they needed to be for the purpose of the movie. They were just fine. They were really great characters as well. The voice acting on everybody was absolutely superb, and it was so easy to become emotionally involved with all of these fantastic animal characters. As well as that, the environments were just jaw-droppingly beautiful. Not just beautiful to look at, but just fantastic in all the detail. When you get close-ups of things like rock walls and stuff, like, it looked so realistic. If you had honestly told me that it was all real environments, I probably would have believed you for most of it. They were utterly perfect. Aside from that, the lighting and everything about it was just absolutely top class. Now look, if I had to pick any negatives, which believe me, I've been struggling to come up with anything that was wrong with this movie, I guess the only thing that I could sort of say as a criticism, which isn't really even a criticism, was that they used a couple of the songs from the original Disney cartoon version, and I just thought maybe they seemed a little out of place, being that this one was such a realistic version. But look, they were so much fun. Like I said, it's not even really a criticism, because, watching Baloo and Mowgli floating down the stream with Mowgli sitting on his tummy and playing drums on him and singing and stuff, oh man, it was so good, and I just wanted to come home and pat my cat so badly. Where is she? So here's the thing. This is the kind of movie that I walk out of a theater feeling electric. Sometimes you go to a movie that, is kind of average or whatever, and you walk out and you think, yeah, it was good, but you just don't have that feeling inside, this movie gave me that. It warmed my heart. I walked out of that theater with the biggest smile on my face, and I still feel really good even a couple of hours later. So yeah, it's really hard for me because I wanted to find criticisms in the film, but there just really aren't any. So I'm gonna give Jungle Book a 10 out of 10. One thing that I have to insist is that this movie needs to be seen in 3D. It was utterly designed for that format. We had a choice between seeing it in 3D or 2D on a much bigger screen, and we went for the 3D, and I'm so glad we did because there were a lot of shots in the film that if we'd seen it in 2D, I would have been kicking myself, thinking to myself, oh my god, this would look so good in 3D. So I know some people have a bit of a problem with 3D, some people don't like it, but honestly, this is up there with like Avatar, Life of Pi, those kind of movies. It is essential 3D viewing. Seriously, do yourself a favor, go and see Jungle Book. Take your kids, take your family, take anybody, grab a random person off the street and go with them to see the movie. It's that good. Seriously, they're going to be your best friend for life if you shout them to Jungle Book. I just really can't imagine anybody being disappointed by this flick. It's got something for everybody. It's got action, adventure, wonderfully written characters, great dialogue, suspense, amazing visuals. You know, it's just a good all-rounder. So yeah, I've got no qualms about giving this one a perfect score. So let me know what you think of it if you've gone to see it. I know it doesn't open in the US for another week. Haha, suckers! Sorry. So yeah, tell me what you think. And by all means, if you've got any movies that you'd like me to review, let me know. Drop me some comments in either YouTube or Facebook, because I like to talk about movies and I would love to talk about movies with you. I'll see you soon.
Yeah, hit subscribe. Do it now. Yeah.